Hi everybody, I'm Jack, and this is Raw Tropical Living. Thanks for joining me again today. Well, today is Saturday, which means it's market day, and which means pretty much after I've done the market, got my food situated, I'm pretty much lazy for the rest of the day. So I thought I would at least be productive and come down to the house. I'm down in the big house today and shooting a video. Anyhow, we're going to talk a little bit today. This 30-day raw vegan food challenge. It's churning up a lot of ideas in my head. Like when you're trying to kind of reach out and help others with suggestions, it gets you thinking, and it helps you to to come up with some fresh stuff. And I'm really focusing, like in that other video where I talked about integrating raw vegan and cooked food. This video kind of has the purpose. I'm really working on that last stage of people getting through that final stage of transition to a fully raw, if that's where they're trying to go, or if they're just trying to do a really high version of raw. And it's like, that's where I think I haven't seen a whole lot of info on, a lot of tips on, or whatever, is that last little stage. Like I've mentioned before about the group and also about the book I'm writing, the 30-day raw vegan food challenge. There's actually 3 parts to it, and then that third part, it has actually evolved in my head until I'm breaking that down. The first is just 30 days of raw until noon, then we have raw until dinner, and then we do fully raw. But now I'm really thinking, and that's evolved in my outline of the book, and some of the stuff I'm sharing is taking that 30, or in other words, maybe making it that last stage fully raw. You could do it in several steps, like kind of transitioning through the transition, if that makes any sense. Okay, let me just get around to the premise of this video and what it's all about. One of the most important transition tips I think I could ever give you is to clean up your cooked food before you think about fully raw. Think about that again. Too many people just see this, and I know you get excited and it almost gets competitive. You're not necessarily thinking, or a lot of people are not necessarily thinking the best strategy to get to fully raw or the best strategy for their fullest health. They're just wanting to be raw. They join a group or they're networking with people and everybody else talking about how raw they are, and they just want to be part of the group. They want to be part of the club. They want that label to be fully raw. Well, think long term. This is a marathon. It's not a sprint. Don't worry so much on getting there so quickly. Worry more on, once you get there, being able to sustain and stay there. Because so many people are trying to do, they're trying to go raw, higher raw than they're ready for. They're failing, they're floundering around. I mean, I just sometimes I'll check in on somebody and I'm like, oh, that's a shame. Still not really getting it. People you're connected with or associated with, or that you just see in groups. Maybe you're not even connected. And they've been trying to do this thing for 1.5 years, 2 years, sometimes 3 years, and they just don't get it. But yet there's still some of the ones that will just fight you tooth and nail about it's all about raw. Yet they have never actually been able to do fully raw. Listen, I'll say it right there. If you can do, people want to argue sometime, or they want to get they get a bug under their, because, their own team fully raw. And that's okay. Anybody that ever wants to argue that it should be fully raw is law all the time, I'm not going to ever argue with it. If you can do it, that's good. That's very good for you. If you want to and you can do fully raw, that's great. What I'm talking to are the people that are aspiring to do fully raw, desperate to do fully raw, preach fully raw all the time and tell you raw is law, but they're not actually fully raw. And that's because they're not going through those proper transition steps. And that's because I think even there may be a stage left out of there, and that's why I'm trying to focus on and talk about that a little bit more. Like I say, I mentioned in that video about integrating cooked food with the raw food. Started touching on it a little bit. It's about cleaning up that cooked food. It's about moving that cooked meal. Okay, let's say by the time we're talking vegan for sure, But let's say you're eating that cooked vegan at night, and we're trying to move that cooked vegan just at whatever pace works for you to a cleaner place, to a cleaner place, to a cleaner place. Now what we need to do is we need to get that cooked food. If you're eating cooked at dinner, whenever you're eating it, you really need to get to a very clean place with your cooked food before you try to do the fully raw thing. And I totally believe that if you will do this, I didn't do this, that you will have a much easier time with it. If you can get to a version of cooked vegan where you're not using salt, where you're not using heavy fat, maybe you're already start thinking in those 80-10-10 lines, or if you go a little higher on fat, go a little higher on fat, but we're not talking crazy. But lower the fat, get rid of the oil, get rid of the salt, get rid of the processed food out of your diet. By the time I tell you what, when you are having a meal with, say, steamed sweet potatoes, maybe some sort of a steamed like a steamed squash or a broccoli or even spinach or whatever, and then you're eating a salad with that, then you're ready. If you're still eating, heavy fat, highly processed, don't care what kind, if you're still pulling the kind of fake burgers out of the freezer, you're probably not ready to go raw yet. You need to kind of transition from those fake burgers in the freezer, although I'm happy for those because those are vegan and that means no animals were killed. You probably need to transition through into some cleaner cooked food. You need to less processed down to whole cooked, clean cooked food. Then you can take it where I kind of started with that integrating video, and then you can start reducing the amount of cooked to the amount of raw in your dinner. But you got to get to, listen, people can argue all day long and there'll always be somebody in the group or on videos that'll make the comment like, yep, I just went raw vegan overnight. But a lot of times there's even more to the story than that. I've even found a few of these that have gone raw vegan overnight. They went raw vegan overnight maybe on their third or fourth attempt at doing the raw vegan lifestyle, and with some there were years in between, so your mileage may vary. If you're ready, if you're fully raw vegan, if that's what you want to do, go for it. If you're shooting to be fully raw, don't let me stomp you, don't let me discourage you, don't listen to anything I'm saying. All I ever preach about is, listen, I don't have the problem with anybody that for their eating is raw is law. I just get annoyed with the ones, that are always preaching that are always yammering on and on about it, and don't actually really do it. I got no problem whatsoever with somebody that's raw as law, that's just doing their own thing. They eat raw food all the time. They're not they're not lording it over everybody's heads. But as I will always pound home this message, it's about your health. It's not about your level of raw. So always make the healthier choice. Don't make a poor raw choice over what I would consider a good, healthy, cooked choice. And yeah, I'm just going to leave it at that because I'll just start rambling and repeating myself. I've pretty much stated it. You get that meal in the evening if you're doing raw till 4, and that's whether most people say actually follow I don't know what all the rules and tenets are of the proper raw till 4. I think most people that are working towards fully raw are sort of doing that. They're kind of like a lot of people are, eating until dinner, and then dinner is that cooked meal. Work on cleaning that cooked meal up. And as I always say, not even just, processed food. It's the same as like the cigarettes and stuff. When they're processing stuff, they got stuff in there that's hooking you. They got stuff in there that makes you want to come back for more. So you got to get off that processed food. And like I say, just real quick to throw in there as a disclaimer, I'm not saying everything that's ever processed. We eat a lot of foods that go through processed. I think most intelligent people should understand what I'm talking about when I'm talking about processed. Foods where you've got 10, 15, 25, 30 ingredients and about 3/4 of them that you can't even pronounce. So as you're working towards transitioning to fully raw, however raw you want to go, just think about that. Clean up the cooked first. If you'll clean up that cooked first and not even beat yourself up, not worry about the raw, clean up that cooked first that you're still eating. And when you get that cooked vegan food, really clean, it's just a easy jump right over to the raw. Anyhow, just my 2 cents worth. Hope you guys like this one. If you like it, please give me a thumbs up. Appreciate it if you'd hit that subscribe button and watch more videos. And I hope you are having a wonderful day. Love you guys. Peace.